Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the salacious, the sensual M-Class podcast. It's nothing like that. I'm Jeff.
I'm horny. I'm Josh.
Oh, we all knew that, Josh.
Well, you start talking all sexy. What am I supposed to do?
Just go rewind that part like 6 or 7 times and you'll get it out.
I'm gonna rewind my part 6 or 7 times.
On this episode of M-Class Podcast, we're going to be picking up where we left off last time by talking about Deep Space Nine's Season 3, Episode 2, The Search, Part 2.
That's a lot of numbers. That's a lot of numbers.
Production number 40512-447.
I don't... Why aren't you reading the production numbers, Jeff? I need to know.
I just got an email about that. Somebody was very angry. Where are the production numbers?
Are you serious?
No. No one would ever care about that.
I would believe it. I would have believed it. Technically, it's production number 4829.
Yeah, I fucked it. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry.
I just remembered I didn't get any of my, what do you call it, up? My pages that tell me stuff about this show.
Uh-oh. Josh fucked it.
Whoops.
The teleplay for this episode was done by Ira Stephen Bear. And the story was worked on by him and Robert Hewitt Wolf. And John Larroquette Fun Fact of the Week for this episode, directed by Mr. Jonathan Frakes, a.k.a. Commander William Riker.
Amazing.
Can't believe he could both act and direct and host shitty cable shows.
We made it up.
I love that show. That was a good show, actually.
Great. I'll watch him do it. I would watch him read like a milk carton.
He's got a great voice. Like I've talked about when I went to the convention in Lexington and he was there doing a Q&A and it was fucking amazing.
Yeah.
I would listen to that man read the phone book.
I would like it if he read the phone book in bed with me, but we can't have what we want all the time.
Sweet dreams. Anyway,
be my new dad.
When we last left our heroes, Odo had said fuck you to all of his friends, kidnapped Kira, stolen a runabout, and was headed towards the Omarian Nebula, wherein he met a bunch of goo people.
The Omarian Nebula.
That's a pretty good impression, actually.
I can only do Odo when he's like hypnotized. I almost said Yoda.
When he's yoded.
I can only do Odo when he's shapeshifted into a Yoda.
And we didn't know what happened to our Federation pals, Cisco and Bashir, because their ship got fucked by Jem'Hadar.
The Beetle ships, the big bad Beetleborg ships shot at them.
Oh my god!
Don't they look like beetles to you?
Don't
they look
remind
like
me of big bad Beetleborgs.
Do you not like that one?
Did you know that there was a character on that show who was a vampire ghost Jay Leno Elvis impersonator?
Yes, I remember that. I remember watching that show and being like, this is fucking insane.
My favorite part of that show is that there's a Jawa. He's supposed to be a ghoul or something, but he's just a Jawa.
I remember thinking that the Jay Leno vampire was the singing moon from... Was it Domino's?
Oh, yeah. Fucking...
The Domino's commercial.
No, it was McDonald's. Mac Tonight.
Was it McDonald's? That was what
Mac
it was.
Tonight.
Mac Tonight. Oh, man.
Fucking...
I want some McDonald's.
I'm loving it. This episode's sponsored by Burger King. Fuck you, McDonald's.
Yeah. Their burgers are a little better.
So, I actually like Wendy's best.
The Wendy's is the best. Yeah.
So our episode begins at the newly discovered home world of Odo and the Changelings. And
what are they doing? They're just kind of talking to each other, right? Still.
Yeah, they're like Odo keeps asking questions or whatever, and Kira's like, "Hey, this isn't a police interrogation, Odo."
That's right, because they're like, how many of us are there?
And he's like, "Don't embarrass me in front of my new goo friends."
I always thought that was weird that she said that, because it's like, this dude, like, is finding out where he's from.
Yeah, he needs answers to these questions. He's been waiting his whole life.
Yeah, those are perfectly legitimate questions to ask.
But Kira's like, just feel the vibe, man. Yeah, just feel it.
Sit down and, like, I don't know, like, meditate.
Just chill on it, Odo. And he's like, what?
Yeah, I just traveled across the galaxy and I somehow found my homeworld. But yeah, sure, I'll chill out.
But the changeling woman holds her hand out to Odo, and when they shake hands, they Alex Mack together into a goo arm. And Odo's like, "Oh my god, I've really found my family," and he gives the creepiest smile towards the camera I've ever seen.
Because he can't smile. He's got that shit on his face. He can't smile.
He's got like a mile of makeup on his face. Have you seen like the millions of images of him pulling that shit off of his face? Like,
no,
they're so creepy.
It sucks to be like Rene Aubergenois or like what's his name, Quark Sky. He's just Quark to me now.
His name is Quark. He was born
Armin Shimmerman, right? Armin Shimmerman.
Or like Max Grodenchik, or like fucking.
Yeah, it sucks to be those guys who are like pretty much in every episode, right? Like they're like in every episode almost, and every day they gotta go in and like do 6 hours of makeup. Like that's fucking insane.
I read an interview the other day with Wallace Shawn, who plays the Grand Nagus.
Yeah.
And he was like, I learned a lot of shit about him in that interview. Like the fact that he's literally never owned a TV in his entire life.
That's awesome.
And he apparently just fell ass backwards into acting. Like he just joined a friend of his play because they needed somebody to play a role, and somebody was in the audience who discovered him.
That's insane.
So he's really just a writer. He's like a super political writer because he's like a super socialist.
Okay.
And, but he was talking about
the opposite of the Grand Nagus.
Yeah, pretty much. He was talking about how fucking fun it was playing the Grand Nagus, but he was like, I was in one episode a year, and that was way enough for me, forever. Yeah. Because you had to be in makeup for 4 to 6 hours before you even
had to have that, the old ass man. They had to make him real droopy looking, too.
He said something that really, like, made me laugh, but was also, like, really weird. Because he was like, I actually don't know what most of the Ferengi actors look like without the makeup. I've never met him that way, so...
He would just show... Well, I mean, think about it. Like, if you're not there every day, you're not hanging out with people, right? Like, like Armin Shimmerman, like, is a legit part of the cast, so like he probably went to functions and like whatever.
Yeah, he said that he met Armin Shimmerman after the show, like during the show at a convention, and that's how he learned what he looked like without the makeup on.
That's fascinating.
It is.
He probably was just in makeup, and like then he would show up on the set, right? And they're both like in every episode. Like both Quark and the Nagus are in every episode, like that they're in together, right? Like they're both there.
He said, I saw Aaron Eisenberg in a photo once, and I didn't know who he was, even though I'd been in episodes with him for years. And I thought that was fascinating, is the best way to put it.
It's like they're really like Ferengi. It's like he just thought that that's what they were.
Yeah, he was like we were pretty much just Ferengi together, and I didn't know them any other way. Would you do that though? If you could be an alien in Star Trek, would you sit like 5 hours in a chair and have them put the shit on you? Dude, that would be so fucking cool. I would love to be a Star Trek alien.
It'd be great. It would suck because like I would get like tired of it, but like it'd be worth it. To be in Star Trek, I would do anything.
It's probably better now.
I'd kill a man.
Holy fuck. Future Josh, please edit that out just in case.
I'm not saying anything because I don't know what you're talking about.
You'll definitely edit that out. If I know one thing about Josh the editor, it's that he goes through this with a fine-tooth comb.
That's right. I go, uh-oh, somebody breathed here. Get it out.
He only leaves in the good breathing. That's why you can still hear it.
The heavy sex breathing.
Not like the pained breathing that we both do all the time because we're old and dying. Anyway. It's probably better now, like on the set of like Discovery being like a crazy alien, because at least you have a phone you can just mess with.
Yeah, you could look at your phone. Yeah,
you just had to read magazines too. And shit back
they're
then.
Probably better. Yeah, they're probably better about it too, right? Like they're probably like not as slow about it.
It's true. Like the weirdest thing is the person who mostly took the longest in makeup was Dax.
Why?
Because they hand drew those spots.
So they had to blend it all in.
Yeah.
Did they do her whole body, you think, or just her
they
like,
did.
neck?
Man, you wish. They did it all from her like hairline down her neck, and depending on how the episode went, they had to do it other places as well.
Yeah,
but I mean, like just from her hairline down to her neck was like 150 to 200 spots.
What the fuck? Couldn't they just like get like stickers?
Couldn't they just send away to Scholastic and get stickers to put on?
What they should have done is just made like kind of like a more durable like temporary tattoo. I don't know if that's even a possibility, but like
I don't know.
Or like have a template.
Yeah, they should have just had a template to put on and spray on, but I guess you couldn't mold it to the skin correctly every time. I don't know.
Did they have like a stencil though, at least, where like it's the same, or does it not matter?
The dude hand painted them.
That's
and the thing is,
stupid.
Like, between you, me, and our audience of a couple thousand people, and so keep it a secret, keep it under your hat. I think he was probably like a sex pervert, and he like just really liked being able to do like have her in a chair and touch her the whole time. Because it was his choice to be doing that. Like
but he didn't do it though.
Like he chose. He was like, yeah, I want to do it by hand because it has to be blended correctly and everything. But like, this is '90s television we're talking about. Like, you wouldn't have been able to fucking tell.
Also, like, you can blend it by hand and start off with like a template. Like, you don't have to like just draw every single one. Like, I don't know, that seems really dumb to me. Yeah. I would be like, we need a better way to do this.
He's a sex pervert, dude, I'm telling you.
On the Discord today, I was talking about how he has mining hats for when he goes into giant vaginas.
I'm pretty sure Brandon Braga wasn't the one who was putting the makeup on.
That's what I mean. I thought that's what you meant. I was like, he's not the one drawing them.
No, I'm talking about the makeup artist that did it.
He was... Well, you said sex pervert, and the first thing I think about is, the president. And then the second thing I think about is Brandon Braga.
Brandon Braga, sex weirdo, for sure.
I was like, oh god, I hope I don't fall into this giant butthole. And then he flicks his headlamp on. He's ready.
Oh my god.
I called it vaginal spelunking.
Oh no. Dude, I'm really surprised that there was no Voyager episodes with giant women in them. Like, he could have...
Yeah, that would have been the time.
He could have done that.
They probably were like, you can't do that. Like, they probably knew, right? And somebody at the network was like
you could see the raging boner sticking out of his pants the whole time.
He's just sitting there watching his then girlfriend, Terry Farrell, getting spots painted on her, and he's just like slowly the curtain goes over his face, and he's like, yes. Like, he's so gross. So fucking weird.
Oh my god. Refer to previous episodes of this podcast if you don't know what we're talking about. Long story short,
Brandon Braga, giant vagina.
Yeah. Long story short, Brandon Braga is a sex weirdo.
Yeah. I'm not into, like, shaming people for their sex weirdnesses, which I guess is in itself shaming people, but, like,
that's weirdo sex shit you're all into.
I'm not into shaming you perverts about your weird sex shit, but, like, if you want, like, to be inside of a giant woman's vagina, you probably, like, there's probably, like, some psychological reason for that.
Well,
and I'm not saying it's, like, a bad psychological... Yeah, it's super edible.
Well, here's the thing. If you want to be inside of a giant woman's vagina, then good for you. You probably shouldn't be saying that in interviews about Star Trek.
Yeah, keep that one at home. Like, keep that one for your diary.
Like, he wasn't giving an interview with, like, Sex Fetishist Monthly. He was talking about Star Trek.
Yeah, he's not some, like, spokesperson for, like, whatever that fetish is called. Giant fetish. It's like a thing now. I've seen, like,
it has a name.
The
I just don't know it.
Yeah, I don't know what it is either.
It's not my particular brand of sex weirdo, so I don't really know.
There's a comic that Kevin and I both know about where that happens, and I was telling him, I was like, watch out for this. This happens later.
Oh my god!
Like, yeah, it's the thing. It's just a thing, dude.
I like that you took Kevin down with you with that one.
I wasn't going alone.
Kevin Cole, sex weirdo.
I told him about it, so it was my fault. But I, having read the comic and, like, getting to that point, I was like, oh, we're doing this now? All right.
I guess something for everybody in this one, all right.
Yep. It's a shotgun effect.
Anyway, the true hero of the story, Cisco, is flying a shuttlecraft. We don't know how he got there. But he's flying a shuttlecraft with Bashir, and they're headed back towards the wormhole. They've lost the Defiant.
Yeah, you don't see it, like you said, but I guess they just escaped in another shuttle. I guess the Defiant has a couple shuttles. I don't know. It's a little small.
It changes size, like, all the time, depending on what they need in the story. But, like, I guess every ship does.
They later show the shuttle bay and how it works, and it's just the bottom. It's like the circle part of the main hull on the bottom.
Yeah, it just, like,
is a shuttle,
and you can go out of it. Yeah,
the Defiant's, like, really small. I think we talked about this.
It's a little deuce coupe.
The little deuce coupe.
But Bashir, like, wakes up from his naps, and he's like, "Oh, we really fucked it, didn't we, Captain? I mean, Commander, because the show's fucked." And
because they're like, oh, we're running out of air and we don't have power. And then Bashir is like, I was spying on you, talking to the computer.
I wasn't asleep. I was spying.
I was only pretending to be sleeping.
But the ship gets hit by something, and they're like, oh, fuck, our sensors aren't working. We can't figure out what's happening. And the back doors get open, and they both, like, flip their shit and point their phasers, but it turns out to be my hero, Chief O'Brien, and Jadzia Dax.
I love how, like, nobody thinks, like, the Dax and Chief O'Brien squad doesn't think to open the door and be like, nobody shoot us! It's us! It's Dax and Chief O'Brien, please don't shoot us.
They open it, and if I was Captain Cisco, the first thing I would have said in this instance is, how in the holy fuck are you here right now? But instead, he just kind of says, oh, I thought the Jem'Hadar got you. And they're like, nope, anyway.
Yeah, it kind of makes no sense that he doesn't ask. Like, because they didn't have a
later,
shuttle.
I guess, but not
It
now.
does later, but not now, yeah.
And she's like, there's a big surprise waiting on Deep Space Nine.
Let's go back. And he's like, okay.
And he's like, I got nothing better to do right now. My ship is lost and everybody else is dead, so fuck Kira and Odo, I guess. And back on the Changeling's homeworld, which I guess doesn't have a name. It's just called the Changeling World.
Yeah, I don't think it ever... Nothing in the Changeling universe has a name ever. Like the female Changeling is just called the female Changeling. Like, she doesn't have a name.
Calling her the female Changeling feels like I'm being a Ferengi. The female.
The female. Yeah.
I think that's... Somebody pointed out that that's 100% a warning sign when you're reading somebody talking about women. If they call them females, then you're like, you should probably stay away from that.
Yeah, because it's very, like, passive-aggressive. Like, the females. Like, what?
But Odo's getting pissed, right? Because they basically, they're like, yeah, we're your family or whatever. Go wait in the Arboretum.
Yeah, go turn into trees and rats and shit.
And the female Changeling shows up, and she's like, hey, we don't like solids.
Yeah.
We're on a liquid-only diet. We hate solids.
We're on a cleanse, a solid cleanse.
Did Changelings poop?
No.
They don't eat, so I guess they don't
eat.
poop.
I don't really know the biology and how it works. I would assume they're kind of like silicon-y, like they're probably like silicon evolution, right?
Probably. Like, it's weird that we don't in Star Trek meet more alien species that are like this alien to us. Like the changelings have nothing in common with us, pretty much.
I kind of like it. Like they do some changeling stuff every now and then, like in Star Trek 6. There's what's her name is a changeling. Fuck. I forget what her name is. But anyway, she's a changeling. But she's not like this type of changeling.
No.
But I like that, like, it makes sense because, like, you find out, I don't know if you find out in this episode, but, like, kind of right here, like, they don't trust solids because they were hunted.
Yeah,
like, the changelings were hunted.
They go out into the universe to try and learn more about the galaxy, but every time they meet an alien race, they're, like, distrusted. Because, I mean, like...
Yeah. They can turn into anything.
From a solid point of view, like, what better infiltrator against your species could there be than someone that can be anything?
Which we see later, where in there...
Oh yeah, it happens on
Starfleet's losing its fucking mind, because, like, this is happening.
But, like, the female changeling is like, you need to learn how to turn into a rock, and a plant, and a tree. And Odo's like, well, that sounds lame.
Turn into this cool weed leaf poster on the wall.
Turn into a blacklight weed leaf poster, and then we'll talk.
Once you do that, you've mastered being a changeling.
Kira goes to the shuttle to try to send her terrorist message through to Cisco.
Oh, doesn't she have like a plan with subspace or something? Like she taught him how to like read the subspace Morse code or some shit.
Which is like a Bajoran resistance thing.
Yeah.
Wake up! God, I'm so sleepy. Anyway, she can't get the message through, and it's because there's some sort of weird background radiation.
That's right. I kind of zoned off at this part. I kind of was like doing something else, and I was like, "Oh right, like she has to like try to contact them, but why can't she?" Because I remembered like what happened.
She can't because like there's something blocking the signal on that planet.
Right. Right.
Meanwhile,
does she scan it? No, she doesn't scan it.
She doesn't scan it yet. Meanwhile, back on Deep Space Nine, Cisco is back, and he's covered in dust, and he looks real messed up. And we meet...
This is...
our favorite character.
Who do we... Yes, yes!
Admiral Nechayev, the...
Admiral Bichayev!
The most on-the-level admiral that never does anything wrong.
Sure. Dude, oh man. She's great in this episode because of, like, the plot. Like, she is so creepy and like, mean.
Evil. Straight up, like, plotting behind-the-scenes evil. And it, like, turns out that there's a reason why towards the end. But for most of the episodes, you're like, what the fuck are you doing, Bichayev?
You know cadets are calling her Bichayev.
Since we told them to call her that.
Alina Nechayev.
And, it turns out that the Dominion has sent treaty delegates, and they're gonna they're gonna put together a treaty with the Federation because of all the effort Cisco put in to try and find them. Like, they heard about it, they're here, they're gonna do it.
It went well. I guess it's like mission accomplished, right? Like,
and they're like, one of the founders wants to meet you.
Yes.
And Cisco's like, oh my god, fucking, I gotta know. So he goes in, and Avorta is there. And we, as people who know this show already, are like, bullshit. But at the time, you're like...
bullshit, yeah.
Oh my god, we already know one of them. We saw that lady one before.
It's great the first time you see it. Later, it kind of ruins this episode if you've seen it. That doesn't ruin it, but, like, you know, like, what's happening anyway, because you've seen it. But, like... The surprise at first is cool because it is a surprise, but also later it's another surprise, which I think is cool. But fuck this
dude's name is... Yeah, this dude's name is Borath, which I think is, like, one of the elements. It's boron. I'm thinking of boron. This dude's name is Borath, and he's like...
And he goes, my wife!
Oh my god. Oh no. That's on our podcast now. There's no way to get rid of it. Oh no.
He says, my wife!
Oh, it's on it twice now. Oh no.
It'll be funny again by the time this comes out. Trust me.
I've trusted you many a time, Josh. You've never led me wrong so far.
That's right. It's gonna be funny again.
So they have this little, like, back and forth discussion, this, like, thinly veiled threats they keep throwing back and forth at each other. And he's like, would you rather we not have tried to make peace?
Yeah, this is like a theme with whenever Cisco talks to anybody from the Dominion, like later, like with, what's his name? Wayoon.
Yeah.
Like, it's always this dance. Like, everything is this, like, dance. And it starts here. Like, this is really where it starts.
Shout out to Jack Carpenter, fan of the show, who's written in several times, who sent us a tweet that said, I just wanted to say out of nowhere that Jeffrey Combs is an amazing actor, and I love all of his characters on Star Trek, especially Wayoon. And Jeffrey Combs himself responded, thanks, Jack.
Jack!
And then,
That's awesome!
Then I, being a complete whore, said, hey, Mr. Combs, if you ever want to be on a podcast... And
and he said, I'm gonna do it.
And then Jeffrey Combs proceeded to log off Twitter and never responded. Thanks for opening the door for me, Jack. I'm sorry I got it shut back in our face.
We almost sealed the deal. Almost.
One day we'll get somebody on our fucking show.
It's gonna be Tim Russ, because he listens.
Of course. It's Phantom Thief Goofus, right? Tim Russ.
Love that Goofus.
Love that Goofus. I tell you what, why don't we take a quick break and we'll be right back after these solid messages from our sponsor.
Yay!
After the messages, we'll be right back.
Trek Boys, as I am sure you are aware, the USS Tapan's radio program is no longer within reasonable proximity to continue your morning show. This is because we have partaken upon the journey to retrieve the man you were hired to replace, Hoteen. I have been assured that our days ahead will be filled with time travel, glorious battles, and jokes about interspecies mating rituals. If this type of adventure is of interest to you, you may find updates on Twitter at TapanOnSubspace, or simply visit iTunes and search for Tapan. You will undoubtedly find our broadcasts there. If members of your audience appreciate the writing of Rich Masters or Boston Sean, then they will surely find this endeavor entertaining. If, in the future, our paths cross once again, I would not object to having one or both of you on as a guest. I found your presence satisfactory. This has been Tapan of the Tapan's radio program aboard the USS Tapan's radio program.
Back to the show.
And we're back. Hopefully that gutter service is now in your home and there'll be a nice check in our mailbox.
Yeah!
I'd like to point out to all of our listeners at home that if you would like to support M-Class Podcast, you can head on over to patreon.com/mclasspodcast, and for as little as $1, you'll have access to an entire treasure trove worth of extra podcast episodes and a Discord full of just complete fucking weirdos you can hang out with and have a great time.
We do like 47 podcasts.
Yeah. Probably way too many, but you know what? We're just gonna die soon anyway, so why does it matter?
It doesn't. Nothing does.
Nothing matters, and you know what? That can be freeing in its own way.
Not like the Discord, though. It's at least $1.
It's $1. And if you'd like to advertise on M-Class Podcast, shoot us an email at mclassemail@gmail.com, and we'll talk about some pricing for you.
Yeah!
Now that we've done hoard ourselves out real good, I'm gonna jump back into the episode.
I put my garter belts on and I raised my skirt up and I was like, come and get it, advertising boys.
Instant boners amongst all advertisers. Fucking
that'll bring
Casper mattresses are already at the back door.
Is that a mattress company?
Yeah, Casper mattresses. They do like 1 million advertisements on podcasts, except ours.
Do they? Oh,
yeah,
well,
it's like
why
Blue
not?
Apron, where they're on every podcast except mine.
I know
for some
Blue
reason.
Apron. Yeah, or Grammarly.
Yeah, the thing is, I really wish Blue Apron would come to me or like offer me a sponsorship because I actually really like Blue Apron.
We could probably get Blue Apron.
And if they would like sponsor the show just by like giving me free Blue Apron, that would be fucking amazing.
Yeah, I would take fucking Blue Apron.
Dude, they send like real food to your house. That'd be fucking crazy.
They like make the food for you. It shows up.
It just shows up, you put that shit together, you heat it over the stove, and it's real food?
Oh, I gotta heat it. Never mind. I don't want
Oh, shit. Josh will go back to Cheetos. He didn't need anything else.
I want one of those, like, ramen noodle cups from Cowboy Bebop where you pull a string and it just heats itself up.
Ah, dude, that'd be amazing.
That would be awesome.
Here's a tangent for you. Do you eat ramen any, Josh?
Yeah, I love ramen.
Do you
Fuck yeah.
What type of ramen do you get?
I usually get Maruchan ramen.
Have you
Top
noticed-
ramen's also good.
Have you noticed that Maruchan ramen has started to taste like weirdly like floury recently? It tastes like floral.
I have not, but I haven't. It's summer, so I don't drink a lot of ramen. Eat a lot of ramen.
Eat or drink a lot of ramen.
Yeah, because it's too hot. But in the winter, I eat a shitload of it. I eat ramen just to get warm in the wintertime.
I had like a couple things of ramen. I like had a coupon or something where I could get multiple things of ramen. So I was like, fuck it,
Yeah.
I'll get it. I got Maruchan, and you know a coupon for ramen is like fucking, you just take it. Just take it. It's
A
free.
coupon for ramen? I mean, it's practically free anyway, but a coupon is just, it's double free.
It was like 2 for 1 or something, but like...
It's like 5 cents?
I fucking, I started eating the Maruchan, I was like, oh, this is actually kind of gross. What the fuck?
I'll have to try it.
It tastes like flowers, and I put a tweet out about it, and several people were like, yeah, it tastes gross recently. I don't know why.
That's so weird. I would freak me out.
I was like, fuck, they changed the recipe to this?
Here's another gross tangent.
Yeah, bring it on.
I love the kiwi strawberry flavored Gatorade. It's my favorite Gatorade. So I get like a shitload of it and just drink it a lot. And I was having like really bad allergies because it's summer and allergies and stuff. Mm-hmm. So I took this like Mucinex for allergies and washed it down with this Gatorade. And then like I was drinking this Gatorade like the same night or like 10 minutes later or whatever, and I noticed it smelled like watermelon, like fake watermelon flavor, and I was like, what the fuck? And I was smelling this Gatorade because it doesn't have watermelon in it, and then I like took a sip of it again, and it was like all this gross snot in my mouth. So like if you mix Mucinex with Gatorade, it turns into watermelon flavored snot.
You know, that is a lot grosser than my tangent.
So I probably drank like my own snot.
It came from you, it's fine.
I was legitimately disgusted. I was like, that's fucking nasty, dude. I was pissed.
I would be too, that's fucking gross.
I was like, this is disgusting. I was like, am I getting poisoned? Is there poison in this? Like, what is this? Then I remembered, oh, it's probably like the backwash from the fucking Mucinex.
That is so gross. I like the
disgusting.
first thing your mind went to wasn't like, maybe this has gone bad. It's, is someone poisoning me?
Well, it didn't go bad because at first it didn't taste like it because it was normal. It was just how it tasted, right? Like it was, but I guess I took a sip. And...
I got like weird person brain where like if I took a drink and it was fine and then I took a second drink and it was fucked up, I'd be like, oh, did it go bad from here down? Anyway, back on Deep Space Nine on the promenade, Bashir meets his boyfriend Garrick.
Yeah, Garrick's here.
And they're like talking about how Garrick believes that the treaty with the Federation is going to be nothing but trouble. There's going to be a war with the Romulans because of it.
Yeah. So the Romulan, what's her name?
To rule.
To
Which is
to
a great
rule.
name.
Nib High Football to rules. She comes out of sickbay and is like, what the fuck is wrong with you dickheads? And they're like, what are you talking about? And she's like, you guys didn't like let the Romulan Empire like have a seat at the conference.
Yeah, everyone except the Romulans were invited to the negotiations.
Which is, like, a pretty big issue. So, like, here's what I love about this episode. Like, knowing what happens, like, and I don't want to, like, kind of spoil it, I guess, but, like, I'm going to kind of spoil it. Like...
Tread lightly. We have a lot of people who are watching quickly to catch up with Deep Space Nine so they can listen to this episode.
So I don't know if I can say that, but the Dominion is, like... testing the waters, right?
Yeah, they're like setting up chess pieces at this point.
Yes, this is such a smart move because they know if the Federation and the Romulans ally, that's a problem.
Mm-hmm.
So they're already they're 50 moves ahead. It's crazy.
And it's already setting up something to keep the Federation busy. So that they won't be paying attention to what the Dominion does after the treaty's signed.
Right.
Because they'll be too busy dealing with the Romulans.
Right. They have another enemy and not the Dominion. It's genius.
It's very smart. Like, the Founders are exceptionally intelligent enemies.
Yeah. It's amazing how much, like, the Federation gets out of this as good as it does. Like this could have been the end, right? Like
it could have been the end of the Alpha Quadrant entirely.
Because the Dominion's fucking insane. And they're doing exactly what Starfleet is doing, but nefariously. Like, they're the anti-Starfleet.
Oh, yeah. They don't bring, planets into their Federation, willingly. They force them.
Right.
Into complete
servitude. And without giving too much away, they're doing what, the Federation would do when they first met another race, right? Or another species. But they're doing it bad guys. They're the bad guys.
Evilly.
Yeah.
Back on the Changeling homeworld, Kira is trying to figure out why her signal can't be sent off planet.
Yeah, she's standing on top of rocks, which are Odos, and trying to hold her phone up.
She finds out that there's some sort of subsurface, power something. There's something beneath the surface putting out a ton of power.
She can't scan it because there's a polyalloy down there, and unknown what it is.
And whatever's in behind this polymetallic substance,
that's what it is,
stopping the computer from being able to send communications.
And she's like, I gots to know what that is.
And Odo shows up and he's like, hey baby, what's up? And she's like, they won't let me call home.
She's like, my phone won't work, Odo. What the fuck?
I got no bars on your weird goo people planet, Odo.
Gotta call my dad.
Gotta get a ride from my dad, Cisco.
Come and get me, Cisco. I'm ready to go.
There's nothing to do on this stupid goo planet.
So bored.
But Cisco's busy with
other things.
With Admiral Nechayev.
Yeah. Oh, are we there yet? Did we get there already? Oh, we're flying now.
He bursts the fuck into the room with Admiral Nechayev, and he's like, why aren't the Romulans being invited? This stinks, and I hate it.
My feelings are hurt.
Admiral Nechayev says, look, the Dominion asked us not to include the Romulans because they would be disruptive. And he's like, but you brought the Cardassians? We're fucking at war with them right now.
Yeah, we hate those guys.
Even you don't like them.
Remember at that party, Bacheyev, when you were like, ugh, Cardassians?
And she gets shifty-eyed and goes, no.
She's like, I don't remember saying that.
I would never say that.
Been Admiral Slucheyev.
And she's like, look, if we join up with Big Daddy Dominion, there's nothing the Romulans can do to hurt us.
Yeah.
And Cisco's like, that seems really fucked up to me. Weren't we just about to become friends with the Romulans? We were doing the whole cloak thing together?
Yeah.
And Nechayev says, fuck those green-blooded hobgoblins.
Fuck. Shit.
And Cisco is deeply troubled by her racism.
he like flips out and he's like, I want to talk to fucking command. He's like, I want to talk to someone else. I want to talk to the fucking Federation Council, right? And she says like, well, we signed it already. And he slams his hand down. He goes, fuck, what?
Fuck, I shouldn't have taken that nap earlier. Shit.
He's like, when? And she's like, today.
Yeah, earlier this afternoon. We went ahead and signed it. And he, like, gets huffy. He, like, sits down in a huff, like,
He, like, literally sits down in a huff. He's like,
Cisco's like, fuck, what are we even gonna do, man?
Yeah, he goes, he, like, leaves, and then he goes and sits, thinks.
Back on the Changeling homeworld, Odo and the female Changeling
FC, we'll call her FC.
start talking about the Changeling history, and they're like, yeah, you know, we've been hunted by by solids, like fucking make us do Cardassian net tricks. And
yeah, you might have heard about that.
they mix us into our drinks and go, look, you're a mixed cocktail. Like, we hate it, right?
One of them made me turn into a Gucci bag for like 7 months.
Like, every time my neighbor, like, accidentally loses their dog, like, I have to shapeshift into the dog and pretend to be the dog for wacky shenanigans.
Until we can find the dog and then elaborately replace you with the real dog. Like
also, they, like, kill us a lot, so we don't care for that.
Not into that.
And he's like, well, I love my solid friends. And she's like, ew, gross. But then they, like, hug and turn into, like, an Alex Mack butt plug.
Yeah, they have, like, weird, totally normal, not being racist right now, changeling sex.
They have weirdo Brannon Braga changeling sex together, and everybody watching gets hard, and they don't know why.
The whole collective turns into... The collective, sorry. The
collective.
What is their fucking name?
The Great Link.
The Link turns into just a big dick. That points like, out of the planet.
Kira finds the source of the polymetallic substance down below in like a cave. I guess she just follows her nose to the cave.
Yeah, which is kind of weird. I'm gonna say this is weird. Because, like, why would the changelings need to walk to this place? I guess people do.
The spoilers and the spoilers need a door to go through.
The spoilers and the spoilers too. Yeah, you're right.
And they've already watched this episode. I guess we don't have to fucking hide the spoiler at the end of it.
Yeah, I guess. But...
The Vorta and the Jem'Hadar need a door to go through.
Yeah.
But she's like, yeah, why the fuck would changelings need a door?
They don't need a door, right? Yeah, they don't like being people. They like being goop.
She's like, computer, scan the door, and the computer's like, no, I can't. She's like,
she's like, God, stupid, I should have got the fucking iPhone.
Fucking Android.
Stupid Elcar's bullshit.
Back at Quark's, the real center of this story.
Man, I forgot about, like, how quickly this goes. This starts
like
moving
back and forth this episode.
Yeah.
Bashir and O'Brien are drinking as usual.
God, Irish people.
Whoa. Anyway, and they're talking to Quark, and Quark's like, "Hey, I want humans and Ferengi and Cardassians and Jem'Hadar to be standing side by side up on that mountain. I have a dream, and they'll all give me their money at the Dabo table."
It's like Ferengi Martin Luther King.
Yeah, he really starts doing the "I have a dream" speech, but it just ends up, and then they go to my Dabo tables together.
And then I cheat them out of their Latinum.
But they're like laughing about it, like, haha, Quark, you're dumb. And he's like, I'm the best. And they're like, ha 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 ha. And,
Quark rules.
And a Jem'Hadar just like trips over O'Brien. He's like, "Bleh,
yeah,
you're in my way."
Yeah.
And O'Brien says, sorry.
Yeah, he says sorry, like, real weird.
And that's enough for the Jem'Hadar to, like, pick him up and throw him across the fucking bar.
Yeah, you get a Star Trek bar fight, which is classic.
He just keeps, like, throwing him against shit, and then, like, Bashir runs up to the Jem'Hadar and, like, tries to, like, grab him, but the Jem'Hadar has, like, super strength, so he can't.
Yeah, I guess it's not so much a bar fight as it's like O'Brien gets hurled around a bunch inside of a bar.
And then the worst security chief in the history of Star Trek.
I love this. This is genius. I think this is great because like you already don't trust Eddington.
Yeah.
You're like, oh god, Eddington, who the fuck is this asshole? And then this happens, and you're like, this is it. I knew this guy was a butthole.
Yeah. And Addington's like, yeah, it won't happen again, Mr. Jem'Hadar. And he's like, see to it that it doesn't. Bashir's fucking livid at this point.
Everyone's like, what in the fuck is happening?
And he's like, you're not going to do anything to that Jem'Hadar for this? And Addington's like, oh, they don't know our customs like we do.
We have to give them a wide berth. And it's
like, fucking Bashir's like, so until they learn our customs, they're allowed to do whatever they want. And Addington's like, and you'd be smart to remember that next time you get in their way.
It's like, where, like, dude, at this point, I'd be like,
security chief are you, you little fucking twig bitch? What are you doing?
Having lived in the Star Trek universe for two seasons and 2 episodes, I'd be like, program, end program.
Yeah,
I'd be like, we're in some sort of shit right now.
What is happening?
Yeah. What's going on right now?
Cisco is having dinner with Jake, who is also in this episode.
Oh, he's here?
And Jake is like, hey, pass me the potatoes. And Cisco just he's making the potato mountain from UHF.
He's making the potato mountain from UHF, which is the potato mountain from Close Encounters of the Third Kind.
Look, I don't care about that movie. He's making it from UHF, and he says, this means something.
See, that's from the other movie, Jack.
I only think of UHF when I think of that scene for some reason.
My God.
I know it's a parody, but still.
More like UHF.
That's right, baby. We should remake UHF, but it's just about me. UHF.
UHF.
Anyway, he can't pass the potatoes because he's too busy thinking about shit's being fucked.
Yeah, shit's crazy.
But Dax comes in and she's like, why have I been transferred to the Lexington?
Yeah.
And Cisco's like, I don't know anything about that. I don't know what's going on.
Yeah.
Bashir calls him and he's like, hey, O'Brien's in sickbay because he got the shit knocked out of him.
He got thrown around.
What are you gonna do about it, Cisco?
A Stegosaurus threw him around a bunch.
Oh no, this is when Cisco fucking comes into the meeting with Nechayev and Borath. Before he was just talking to Nechayev. Fuck.
Oh, that's right, because then this is when she also says, we've transferred everybody. That's right. I forgot.
Like retcon. Yeah. Earlier this episode, I fucked up.
It's okay. No, I also thought that's when because there's a lot of like back and forth with this at this point.
And he's like, why has Dax been reassigned without my consent?
Yeah,
why is the Jem'Hadar allowed to attack O'Brien?
Right.
And why the fuck don't we have the Romulans signing this treaty with us?
Right,
and Nechayev says, look, fuck you. We're gonna do what Borath wants. My new husband, Borath.
The sexiest Vorta.
He probably doesn't have a penis because that would be unnecessary for Vorta, but whatever.
Waste of materials in the cloning lab.
We're in an aromantic relationship, and
yes. We kiss with tongue.
And Bajor's request for Federation membership is fucking suspended. Who cares?
That's right.
And the Federation is withdrawing from Deep Space Nine, and the station, Bajor, and the wormhole are now the property of the Dominion.
Which is... Yeah, at this point, you're like, all right.
You're like, what is fucking happening?
Yeah.
Good job, Captain Cisco. Wink. She winks at him. And
oh, that's right, because she offers him a captain's seat, right?
Yeah. And she says, like, what fucking happens if the Bajorans aren't happy being handed over to the Dominion? Or the Jem'Hadar going to come in? And
right.
Borath is like, no, we only use the Jem'Hadar on our enemies.
Yeah.
Which is not true. We learned that fucking meeting people in the Gamma Quadrant.
The Vorta are like that riddle where it's like one of us is telling the truth and one of us is lying, except for it's one of us is lying and one of us is also lying.
One of us is lying worse and one of us is lying better.
Super liar and the other one's kind of just a regular liar. Yeah.
And the Admiral's like, this is the price for peace. And Cisco's, then the price of peace is too damn high.
Dude, oh man, I love it. We're getting a little Picardy in here. Picardy and rum.
I want to talk to the Federation representatives before they sign that treaty.
That's when they said it, yeah.
She's like, oh, we already signed it. You're too late. And he's like, shit, I shouldn't have spent 4 hours on the holodeck. Oh, no. I thought I had time.
I was just doing my dailies.
Doing my dailies. He's fucking playing ESO in there.
He's like, I gotta do my crafting.
I bet World of Warcraft still exists at this point. It's just all holodeck.
Oh, God.
It still has the same graphics.
Well, yeah.
Back on the Changeling planet, Odo's been flying around as a vulture, which he knows the species of for some reason.
Sure.
He lands and changes back, and Kira's like, wow, that was really cool.
Turned into a skateboard.
He's like, yeah, it's fucking awesome. It was like feeling all that like wind beneath my wings and shit. I finally know what that broad was singing about.
Yeah.
And Kira's like, oh, I'm happy for you. And he weirdly says, I know you are.
Yeah, he's not very good at this.
I was like, what the fuck does that mean, Odo?
He's kind of a dingus.
But
like, he doesn't know how to talk to attractive redheaded ladies.
Who does?
Other redheaded people.
Kira is like, hey, are you advocating for fucking genetic purity for redheads over here, Himmler? What are you talking about?
Look, all I'm saying is redheads should just only date redheads, Jeff.
I'm already breaking this rule, Josh.
I know, Jeff, and we know about it.
Oh, we? Oh
no! I mean, let's continue with the episode.
Okay, so Kira's like, hey Odo, help me fucking open this big door. And Odo's like, a door? What would we need a door for? What would my people need a door for?
Yeah, he says that. Yeah.
And Kira's like, you met him earlier today, dude. They're your people now?
Yeah, things are going a lot quickly here. You French kiss one pile of goo, and next thing you know, you're in love.
Ugh.
That's what I always say.
He meets his first goo person, and he's already, like, love-struck.
He's, drunk on that goo whatever they have going on down there. Both, none, whatever.
Probably not. Well, I don't know. Like, later, Odo and the female changeling have regular sex, and the female changeling's like, yeah, I've had better.
I've had better, even though this is the first time. What if she, like, pulls her pants down and, like, they're getting ready to slam down, and it's just a vulture there. A live vulture.
She pulls the pants down, and there's, like, just a weird, like, tentacle thing dangling there, and Odo's like, that's not really what, like, most solids have. And she's like, how would I know?
She's like, look, you're not good at making faces, I'm not good at making other things, alright? We each have our skills that we're good at.
What do you want down there? Fucking tell me. I don't know. Just tell me. You tell me what you want.
Draw me something. I don't have any frame of reference.
Back at the station, Cisco's hanging out at the Replimat.
This is when Garrick shows up.
He's drinking himself a Ractagino.
Which is like whatever, eight espressos put into one coffee drink.
I hear it's got like chocolate in it too, or maybe that's just Jake Cisco has it with chocolate. I forget.
I really want a Ractagino.
Yeah, it sounds fucking great.
Yeah.
But Garrick walks up and he's like, Commander, I just wanted to let you know that I've been watching you for these past 2 years, and you did a good job.
Yeah, I love this. This is like one of those rare Garrick and somebody else conversations. Like
he's almost always just talking to Bashir.
Bashir is like his handler in the show, kind of, right? You know.
But he's like, yeah, I think that you did a great job, and I think you're gonna be back. And Cisco's like, how's that? And he says, yeah, well, when you come back, it'll probably be to fight the Bajorans, since they formed an alliance with the Romulans against the Dominion.
Things have gone horribly bad.
Like shit is wild right now, right?
Yeah. And he says that he's like, I can only. Garrick is like, well, I can only assume that our leaders have gone mad or something. like that.
But, like, Garrick sits down, and he's like, oh, there's a tone of bitterness in your voice. And he says, oh, you're probably right about that.
Yeah.
And he's like, well, I feel the same way, and I think, that they've gone insane, and it's a pity that we've both been committed to following the orders of our leaders.
Right.
And Cisco's like, I agree with that pity part. And, it's crazy how much we have in common, Garrick. And he says, life is full of surprises.
I love it. I fucking love it.
It's such a great scene.
I love it.
Pretty much any scene with Garrick in it is a good scene.
He's amazing. He's like maybe I would say he's like the best character on the show, because this show is full of like really great characters.
Oh yeah, but it's hard to pick a favorite character on this show. Like for the longest time during the show, I would say Odo is my favorite character, but like probably after this season. Because for most of this season, Odo is very much like, fuck you, changelings, I'm not one of you.
Yeah, which is good.
But then, like, after this season, he starts to get real fucking, like, waffly about it, and, like, I don't like him as much anymore.
He's easily manipulated by them, and that's annoying to watch. Like,
At that point, I think Nog becomes my favorite character.
Nog is great. Everybody's great.
It's hard for me to choose, though, because I really love Rom as well. It's hard to choose.
Brother.
Brother.
Oh, brother. I think the worst is Ezri. Ezri's the worst.
Yeah,
but only,
Ezri's cute.
Only because she's not there the whole time.
Yeah, she's like Cousin Oliver, though. They just kind of put her in at the end because they need somebody to fill the character slot.
Pixie Dream Girl, Cousin Oliver.
Yeah, pretty much.
They're like, look, it's the 90s. People are super into this, like, pixie haircut. Let's just get a cutie with the pixie haircut on here. Brennan Braga's like, how tall is she?
Can I fit in her vagina?
Is she over 9 feet tall or over 12 feet tall?
We're gonna need a 50-foot woman on this one, I think. But, like, after they have their little conversation, they're, like, buddying up, becoming best friends. Torul, the Romulan, runs down the promenade, and she's like, Cisco! Commander Cisco!
Yeah.
And she's being chased by 2 Jem'Hadar who just open fucking fire on the promenade and kill her.
There's just people shopping, and they're just like, shoot a gun here.
They just shoot her in the back and kill her.
Cold. It's cold,
and she falls into Cisco's arms dead, and Cisco's like, what the fuck? And just starts beating up all the Jem'Hadar by himself.
He gets pissed.
But then the Jem'Hadar, like, grab Cisco and, like, knock him the fuck down. And, like, you're like, Cisco, a couple seasons ago, you fought 2 fully armed Klingons by yourself.
Yeah. I guess the Jem'Hadar are just, like...
They're, like, super Klingons. They're, like, stronger.
They're Stegosauruses.
They are Stegosauruses. But apparently, like, Cisco gets taken to the security office. He gets thrown in a brig. Mm-hmm. And Garrick, Dax, and Bashir break him out by, like, knocking Eddington the fuck out, which is great.
Yeah, Garrick. I love Garrick when he's like, oh, you have a loose thread. They use the old Star Trek hypo spray, right, where they, like, knock him out.
And he's like, we're in a hurry, so... Yeah. But, like, Cisco and Dax and Bashir and Garrick, like, they're, like, headed towards the, like...
shuttle.
Like, the shuttle bay, yeah. And they're being chased by Jem'Hadar, who managed to, like... Well, first they do this fun little switcheroo thing where, like, the Jem'Hadar catch them.
Yes.
And Garrick is like, put down your weapons, and makes all the heroes put their weapons down.
He, like,
pretends to be on their side.
He, like, heel turns for, like, a second. And he's like, I'm glad that I got that you are here. And he's like, didn't you guys hear about the plan? Like, and the Jem'Hadar are like, what?
I turn on them, and then I shoot you, and he shoots both of them.
It's super Garrick. Oh, God. I love Garrick.
But then as he's running away, he gets shot, and... Like, they end up heading to the Rio Grande with a full complement of photon torpedoes.
Load them up!
And they're gonna fucking destroy the wormhole.
Collapse the wormhole, baby.
Back on the Changelings' homeworld, which, by this point, you're thinking, this is definitely a B-plot, right? Because it's boring as fuck.
Yeah.
Odo is checking out that door. He's put his goo fingers in it.
Yeah, it's like a lock made for, I guess, the changelings to put their fingers in or whatever.
Yeah. And he's like, it's not meant to keep people out. It's meant to keep whatever is inside in, which in a minute will make absolutely no sense. And
yes, true. I didn't even think about that.
That's all I could think about. Like afterwards, I was like, wait, how the fuck is this supposed to keep people inside? There's nothing like that in here.
Yeah. Also, there's other people in there. How are they getting
yeah, exactly. Like our heroes back on the station end up making it to the Rio Grande.
Yep.
And they like take off. O'Brien's there with them, and he's got a big fat lip from getting thrown around a bar.
I didn't think you were gonna say lip.
He's got a big fat ass.
I thought you were gonna say dick, and I was like, what?
You thought I was gonna say it, but you were still gonna say what?
Yeah, I was gonna be like, what? I don't remember that. Show me a picture.
Let me send you this picture real quick. Boop, boop, boop. There you go.
Oh my god.
But while they're flying towards the wormhole, they get a call from Admiral Bichayev and boring ass.
Damn.
That's right, I got him. Shit. And he's like, hey, I'm gonna send the Jem'Hadar, and Sisko's like, yeah, fucking send them, but they're not gonna have any backup for 70 years.
Yeah, hope you like flying for 70 years into the Alpha Quadrant. Where are we? Alpha Quadrant.
The Alpha Beta Gamma Quadrant.
Yeah, hope you like it, bitches.
And then O'Brien launches some photon torpedoes, the wormhole fucking implodes.
Yep.
And our heroes win.
Yay!
Meanwhile, back on the Changelings world again, Odo turns that lock mechanism with his gross hand, and it opens, and there's just two Jem'Hadar standing there with their guns.
And there's a Vorta in there too.
It's like when the thing opens, it's just two Jem'Hadar standing by themselves, like looking at them. Like it's very Scooby-Doo almost. But they like take him into custody and take him into the underground complex, and like they're like, oh my god, what is this? But when they finally get to the final chamber, there's like a bunch of equipment set up. Borath is there, and
that's what,
Bashir, Dax, Tyrul, Sisko, and O'Brien are all strapped to very flimsy-looking prop tables.
Right.
And there are also other Vorta there, and more Jem'Hadar, and they're all like, oh my god, what the fuck is this? What are you done with them?
Yeah.
And they've been unconscious while he's running like a virtual reality experiment on their head.
He's matrixing them.
It fucking turns the whole episode around where, like, the main plot line you thought you were following was actually the B-plot to all this dumb shit with Odo.
Yeah, you kind of think Odo is the B-plot, but then it turns out that this is all like a holodeck, but not a holodeck. I guess it kind of is, but...
A John Larroquette fun fact for you. Audiences did not care for this. It was all a dream fucking ending. For
no,
this
I love
part.
this.
Why? At the time, audiences did not care for that because they were really invested in the changes that were happening to Deep Space Nine. They thought everything was being upended.
Well, you gotta wait like another 3 years.
They had no idea at the time. They just thought they did that. They thought it was all done just to make the status quo keep happening.
Oh, right. I see. They were mad that they thought the Dominion wasn't gonna come back or something, right?
They thought that the wormhole really did get collapsed. They thought all the stuff that happened in the simulation was real, and the status quo was gone. And
but
it was going to be like our
ridiculous.
heroes.
Even when you're watching it from a first time somewhat objective point of view, which is impossible for us to do, but it's ridiculous. All the shit that's going on the station is crazy. There's that would be bad
if I was watching
writing.
this completely blank, not knowing anything about the rest of the show, I would have been like, wow, how the fuck are they gonna keep writing this show?
Yeah, having watched 2 seasons, I'd be like, what?
But people don't care for it was all a dream plots. People don't like them too much.
I mean, later when they do this again, they don't do it, it's a dream, but later when the Federation is booted off of the station, it's only like 2 or 3 episodes that they're not back on it again. And like those episodes are long and it feels like forever. And maybe it's supposed to feel like that because it's like makes you feel like it's been a while since they've been home or whatever. But like, I don't know, you kind of need the station, right?
Oh yeah, I mean, like, from the sort of very non-objective point of view that we're at now, because we know the whole series beginning to end, if this wouldn't have been a dream, it would have fucked the whole show from then on.
Yeah,
like, what do you even do, right?
But like, so when they do it later, where like Cisco is like captain of one of the fleets, like he's in charge of one of the fleets, and he's like Admiral Ross's like go-to guy. They just cut to them in like a tiny office on some space station. You're like, what the fuck is this? You're like, where are they? Like, it's just this one room.
There's like not much establishing on that space station. It's literally just that one room and an outside shot.
They don't show they don't show you like the station. They just show you the room, and you're kind of like, this doesn't feel right.
You're very much like, this is definitely not going to be the status quo from now on. Like, they're trying to make it seem like it, but they would have made more sets.
Yeah, if they wanted to, right, they would have showed you more of the station and shit.
But, like, Borath is like, yeah, we've been running this simulation to figure out how they respond to the Dominion trying to gain a foothold in the Alpha Quadrant. And it turns out not well. They don't like it.
Yeah.
And, like, Borath is like, you guys are so stubborn. I'm glad that I'm not the one that has to deal with
it. I love it. What does Borath go do for the rest of the Dominion War? Does he just, like, is he an accountant? They just make him go be an accountant somewhere?
He probably just got fucking destroyed because his stupid simulation didn't work.
Well, it worked fine. Like, they found out information. Like, it didn't fail. Like,
yeah, but they didn't get the outcome they wanted where they rolled over. Like, the Dominion doesn't care whether you did a good job doing what you set out to do.
But I don't think... See, here's where I'll disagree with that. I don't think that... Because why was Garrick helping them? Because Garrick was just a part of the simulation. Like, I think they really wanted to see if they would do it. Like,
for sure. Like, I agree with that. I'm not saying that that's not the stated parameters.
Right.
I'm saying that the founders are very much the boss who tells you they want this outcome, and when you give them that outcome, they fire you for not doing better.
Yeah, but scientifically, like, there is no bad outcome. And this is a science experiment, so they should be, like... happy, not happy.
You're definitely coming at this from a place that isn't a universe-conquering monster society where they murder anyone who doesn't live up to their standards.
I'm just saying it's a waste of a Vorta. You don't have to kill the thing. You found out information that was valuable. I don't know.
They shipped him off to do, like, paperwork.
Maybe he's on Breen he's in Siberia, Breen.
The Breen homeworld is definitely Siberia.
What if it's, like, tropical? What if it's, like, just hot?
They just wear the cold suits even though it's, like, a tropical planet.
Yeah, it's like an air conditioning suit, which I wish I was wearing right now because it's 100 degrees.
I have to turn my air off now to record, so it's fucking 1,000,000 degrees.
Yeah.
But anyway, we get the grand reveal that, like, the changeling female stands in and says, but I have to.
Yep, it's them. Like, which, like, obviously it's them.
Everybody's like, oh my god, no. And Odo's like, holy fuck, you're the founders?
Yeah. And she's like, that's right, baby. And she, like, rips her shirt, which is not her shirt open, and there's a big F for founders.
There's a big founders baseball logo. And they're like, isn't there an irony that the hunted now control the destinies of hundreds of other races?
Yeah, they're enjoying the moment a little bit. They're hamming it up.
And Odo's like, why the fuck would you do this? Like, why would my people be doing this?
Yeah.
And she's like, she gives her stated reason, which is what you control can't hurt you.
Right.
Which is fucked.
They're the Federation, but evil. I'm telling you, man. This is exactly what the Federation does to pre-warp societies. I mean, they don't, like, abduct them. I mean, maybe. I don't think they do. But, like,
no.
They look at them and they watch them, which is invasive enough for some people. So much so that, like, they don't tell them about it. You know what I mean? Like... they're spying on them.
It's very much the Dominion is 100% the evil Federation, and I'm sure that was like the consideration when they were created as well. Yeah. But Kira's like mad. She's like, "Oh, you guys don't bring order, you bring murder." And she's like, "I don't give a fuck what solids think about it."
Yeah.
Which is like, you realize that solids isn't just like a name that they call people who aren't liquid. It's like a slur. It's like
it's a racial slur. Yeah. It's crazy.
And Odo's straight up like, "Look, how can you justify all these deaths?" And she's like, "I don't care. Yeah. Like, whatever keeps my people safe is all I care about."
Yeah, she's a little much.
It's very much like hyper jingoism.
Yeah.
In the way we understand it, but just on a planetary scale.
Yeah.
And Odo's like... He tries to reason with her a little bit, but she basically says, like, the solids are nothing like us, so we don't care. And Odo says, "Yeah, they're not. Neither am I."
Yeah, he's like, he chooses his side until season whatever.
Yeah, pretty much. But, like, he gets, like, a mulligan, pretty much, because she's like, "Yeah, no changeling has ever harmed another changeling."
That's right, yeah.
So, and Odo's like, "Well, you're gonna have to go through me to get to them." So they just let him go. They're like, "All right, you can go."
And also, they, like... The Defiant is still there. They're like, "Yeah, your ship's in orbit." Like, what?
Yeah, just take it, I guess. We definitely didn't tamper with it at all. And they didn't! What the fuck?
I guess it's like better than driving them back home. Like, yeah, just drive yourself, right? Like, you can drive, right? Yeah, cool.
I guess, like, they just don't care at this point. Like, they know that they're light years ahead of the Federation when it comes to armament and ability and everything, so they just don't fucking care. But,
it's the old overconfidence thing. Like, they're super overconfident, and that,
It's like, just like, if they had the Defiant, why didn't they just put spy equipment on it to, like, fucking find out information or something? But they don't. They're just like, "Here's your ship back. We polished it."
Also, like, if you kill Cisco right now, you win. Like,
I mean, I guess they didn't know that at that point. Like, Cisco is just a commander on some space station to them.
Right. They don't realize he's gonna be like fucking General Grant over here, like winning the war. He is
the hero of the Dominion War.
Yeah, it's crazy.
But like, they basically just fucking they wake up the crew of the Defiant. And they're all like, "What the fuck?"
Yeah. The Romulan The Romulan's like, "Last thing I remember, I was dead."
They're all like, "The last thing I remember was the Defiant destroying the wormhole." And she's like, "The last thing I remember is getting fucking shot."
She's like, "Dude, yo, she's gonna have a fucking... like weeks of debriefing." Like, the first thing I think is like, yo, this Romulan officer is gonna have to go tell every Romulan about this 100 times. It's gonna suck.
Yeah. The fucking craziest thing is, like, what did Tarul experience after she got shot? And what if she had some sort of an idea of a Romulan heaven and that simulation didn't include it? Would that shake her faith?
Maybe. Yeah, I don't know, man. I guess, like, not. I guess it wouldn't, because...
Yeah, because it's just a simulation.
It was a simulation, so why would
But, like, how fucking horrifying would that be if, like, your consciousness is just, like, shot and then black, and you don't remember anything else? And,
well, you wouldn't remember, so it wouldn't matter. I mean, you've done it before. True. You weren't alive once.
I don't remember it.
What was that like?
I don't remember it. I don't remember what being alive for the first few years was like.
Yeah. One day you just switch on. You're just like, "Oh, I'm here now."
I'm alive. I don't remember before, but...
I always think that's fascinating about human beings, because, like, other animals, like, the first, like, 2 hours of their life, they're that animal, right? Like, they are up and walking. I think it has something to do with, like, how our brain needs to process the world. Like, I think, like, it's too much, and we can't deal with it.
Like, our understanding of the world around us is, like, light years ahead of, like, an animal's understanding.
Yeah,
so
it's too much to handle at once, so we have to, like, slowly boot up. You know?
Like, that was exactly what I was gonna call it, booting up.
Like, we have to, like, switch a few things on, and then be like, "Okay, we're good, now turn on the thing."
Booting up like an Apple One. It just takes a couple years.
Yeah.
But Cisco demands an explanation, but like Odo's like, I'll tell you if you guys have to leave now, but I'll tell you as soon as I meet up with you again. And Cisco's like, okay. And beams up to the Defiant, and Odo has like a walk, and he has like a little walk and talk with the female changeling. Like she's still like, hey, you could still join us.
Yeah. And
he's like, nah, I don't think I'm going to be doing that.
Yeah. This seems like not the club I want to join.
If I was offered to join Space Lady Hitler and her crew, I would probably turn that down too.
Yeah.
And she's like, we'll miss you, but you're going to miss us even more.
Which is something that a loving family says to their child. Of course.
She like goes back into the goo puddle, and Kira sort of like holds hands with Odo. It's like, I guess this is like probably the first moment where like shippers at home start shipping.
Yeah. I wouldn't have, when I first watched the show, I remember being like, they're just friends. Like even later when Odo was like pining for her, I'm like, that's just never gonna happen.
But it does, weirdly enough.
And you're like, and when it does, you're like, what?
I guess it's because it's just weird to think of Odo as a sexual being.
Well, he's barely like, and I don't mean this in like a negative, like a bad way, but he's barely a being at all. Like he's a child in a lot of ways. Like he's not a child, but he's like not formed yet. Like literally. Because he's new.
Yeah, you get into that whole Kess shit, right?
Right.
It's a different life experience, but like it's still weird as fuck from our point of view.
But he doesn't know about like human society, which would make him, in a human standard, like an adolescent, right? Like he doesn't know how to act.
I feel like if their relationship wouldn't have been like straight up romantic, that it would have been a little easier to process as it became romantic, because like it's very much the standard television romantic relationship,
right?
Which is probably, it seems weird for two beings that are so completely different to just immediately go into that standard TV romance,
right? What's really weird is when he's at his wedding and he's gonna marry his fiance, and then he calls his fiance Kira. That was a Friends reference.
Oh, I got that reference. I unfortunately watched a lot of Friends.
I remember watching that when it was on. It's about the same time. Well, not as this episode, but about the same time period.
It was around the same time for sure.
Yeah.
It's fucking wild that I know so much about that goddamn
Emily.
show.
Her name was Emily, right?
Oh my god. I remember the name of the monkey. He was Marcel. I don't remember the name of the lady.
They had to get rid of the monkey because the monkey was like a monkey, and like they can't be on television.
They didn't realize all the trouble that was going to come from having a monkey. And then they still end up getting a duck and a chicken later.
Yeah, they have a chicken, right?
Which is very New York City. All your neighbors have a duck and a chicken.
That show is... You watch that show now and you're like, what the fuck, dude? You're like, this show is so stupid. Like, it's so dumb.
Like, characters on old sitcoms do the most unbelievable shit, and we just, like, completely accepted it. Like, they don't want people to know that they're sleeping together, so fucking he gets locked outside in the freezing cold in his underwear, and he has to climb the building.
It's so dumb. I hate that awkward sitcom-y shit.
Yeah.
I hate it. It's dumb.
Shenanigans. All kinds of wacky fucking shenanigans.
Doesn't Rachel live with Joey later?
She falls in love with him.
Yeah, they like date, right?
Yeah. Which then makes it so every character has had some sort of romantic interaction with every other character.
It's so incestuous. Even Ross and his sister. What's her name?
Nah, I don't see any of that. But there was, like, Ross and Phoebe have a thing for a minute. Like, they kiss on a pool, they, like, make out on a pool table.
What's his sister's name? Molly?
Monica. Molly.
I remembered the fiance. I didn't remember the most famous person from that show.
Were you like a Rachel guy, a Monica guy, or a Phoebe guy?
I was.
Because I was a Phoebe guy.
I guess, a Monica guy, but like I didn't really like any of them. None of them are really like my type of woman.
They're not people.
Well, they're not
just
people,
like
yeah.
cartoon characters.
Yeah, they're like one-dimensional, and I was always like, what? Like, I don't know. I don't know. None of them are really that great. But I guess if I had to pick, it would be Monica. Rachel's too high maintenance. It's too much.
Yeah, I couldn't have dated somebody like Rachel. That's wild.
Way too much, yeah.
There's like such flanderization of those fucking characters. Like, you watch the first episode, and they're mostly like real people.
Yeah.
Like, Rachel is some sort of like valley girl, and like
90s like ditz.
And by the end of the show, they're all like pretty much the same character, like a clown. Yeah. They're all just a clown.
Yeah, they're just ding-dongs, and they just run around being idiots. That show, man, that's one of those anomalies in television where you're like, why was this a thing? Why did people love this?
It was the most popular show on television,
it was,
by far.
It was huge. Like, it was fucking huge.
It was a fucking phenomenon, to the point where, like, the Rachel haircut is in every TV show and movie.
Those assholes
90s.
were making, like, $10 million an episode. Like, in 1998. Like, that's fucking crazy. That's like $300 billion today.
It's like, if you weren't watching TV in the 90s, in like the early 2000s, since it did go to like 2005 or something.
Yeah.
Imagine how big Breaking Bad is, and times that by like 5. That's how big Friends was.
As much people didn't shut up about Breaking Bad, which was annoying as fuck, people never shut up about Friends. And
it's like how Game of Thrones is now, actually.
Yeah, I guess
that's was. I guess Game of Thrones is over. So it's like how Game of Thrones was, but it was about 5 fucking people that lived in New York and drank a lot of coffee.
Unrealistically lived in New York, inside of 2 apartments that were next to each other that would easily cost fucking $5,000 a month. Even in the 90s, they would cost that much.
See, $5,000 I think is like being real generous.
That's super generous. Yeah,
like we're talking like
$30,000 a month.
30, easy, $30,000 a month.
Yeah,
because these were huge apartments, bigger than the one I'm living in right now.
They were like
it's in New York City.
Multiple bedrooms. Like, are you kidding me?
Like fucking Monica and Rachel's had 3 fucking bedrooms.
Yeah, that's crazy.
What the fuck?
Houses don't even have 3 bedrooms. There's houses here aren't made with 3 bedrooms most of the time.
Anyway, that's the end of the episode. Rachel and Ross get married, I guess. And the thing I was talking about earlier, where the B plot and the A plot are like switched at the end, and it's like, haha, you've been invested in the wrong plot, bitch.
Yeah.
It was done 100% purposefully in the writing. They were like playing a trick on the audience.
Yes.
It was a way to like subvert expectations, which we as people watching it now, who know the rest of the show and everything, we're like, fucking, that's great.
Right.
That's like a great way to subvert expectations.
But they hated it.
Yeah, at the time, people were angry about it.
It's so crazy because, like, I mean, this episode, like, for me, I don't know. Should we take a break and then talk about what we feel?
Sure. We'll take a quick break and we'll be right back with our final thoughts about this great episode. Oh shit, I spoiled it. How we felt. Fuck. We'll be right back after these messages.
After the messages, we'll be right back.
Trek boys, I realize that humans believe Vulcans to be stubborn. Nothing could be further from the truth. It is only that we find deviating from the correct course of action impossible. Upon my last sponsorship, Ensign Henderson informed me that to keep your primarily human audience's attention, I should employ multiple adverts. Therefore, I will once again recommend you listen to my adventure with Drac, Crash Space Danger, Kathy, Gul Tivan, and Dross. You may find us on SoundCloud. Simply search for Tapan. I am singular in my name, which is why this mug emblazoned with my name is so effective. Frequent listeners to my nightly program are also aware of my appreciation for the 21st century musician, Vidism, whose music will accompany each installment of the broadcast. In case this marketing material has gone on too long for your attention span, I will reiterate. Tapan's Theater on Subspace is a project with which I am currently engaged. Listen to it if you wish to be entertained. I will now return you to a Vulcanless episode of M-Class Podcast. This has been Tapon of the Tapon's radio program aboard the USS Tapon's radio program. Live long and prosper.
Back to the show.
And we're back from those messages to talk about how we felt about Star Trek Deep Space Nine, The Search Part 2, on this episode of M-Class Podcast.
Part 3.
Part 3 of the podcast.
Of Part 2. This is so
Part
hard.
3 of The Search Part 2, which is the final part of
this episode.
Of this collection.
Wait, what's after this? We
There's
don't
nothing.
know?
We don't know yet.
There's nothing!
The best way to find out what our next collection is going to be is to head to twitter.com/mclasspodcast.
That's an alley-oop. That's what they call that. Slam dunk.
Set it up, knock it down.
Like,
So,
Basketball Jones.
basketball is my favorite sport. I like the way they dribble up and down the court.
Fucking early hip-hop where they're just rapping about
Went
eating
down
turkey
to the
with
hat
their
store,
family.
and I'm going to buy myself a hat. Hey!
It's like, guys, you could say anything.
So what were you about to say about this episode, Josh?
I kind of get why people. I mean, I don't know. I don't get why people were like bothered that the things that happened didn't stay that way. Because like I'm relieved when I watch it. I'm like, oh, thank God, we're back to like some like there's like too many changes if it would have been real. But I do get that like this episode is like kind of like it's kind of trying to get through. Like I like it a lot. It's great, and I love the Dominion, and I love the reveal and the twists. But like, I don't know. I'm just like excited for like every time I watch it now. I'm like, all right, let's go. Like let's get more. Like go. Let's do the Dominion now. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah,
like,
this is definitely like it whets your appetite for what's
Yes.
gonna happen between the Dominion and the Federation.
and like knowing what I know, I'm like the ride is like lengthy. So I'm like, oh man, this is gonna be good. Like every time.
There's like a subsection of people who are always going to be angry at like the "it was all a dream" ending.
It was all a dream.
I used to read Word Up magazine
And go buy hats at the hat store.
Fucking like "it was all a dream" can be a cop out, but it's not always bad. I don't think there's such a thing as a storytelling trope that's always bad.
No,
Actually, that's not true. There definitely is.
Well, there's tacky. Well, I mean, like Mary Sue's are
I was thinking of like rape as a plot device is almost always bad.
It's pretty lame. Yeah,
But like I'm talking about like the standard storytelling tropes that aren't like
Right.
fucking sex weirdo shit. Like
right.
like "it was all a dream" can be used to great effect if it has an effect on the character. Like fucking The Inner Light, "it was all a dream."
Right. That's the best. It was all a dream there is.
Yeah. And that's like one of the best episodes of that's one of the best stories ever told to me.
Yeah, it's great.
And "it was all a dream," but like there are people who will always look at an ending like that and think it's a cop out, whether it is or not.
There's people now when I'm gonna rant a little bit. There's people now who like go to like what like plot. What's that website? Fuck, I should know. I'm doing that thing.
Tropes?
TV tropes, and they just read the TV tropes, right? And since they read the TV trope, like, and they don't really, they're like layman's about stories. Like, I've seen this in like when I play ESO, people complain about it. One time I was in a Discord channel with people complaining about every TV trope, and it's like, yeah, like TV tropes are like there are TV tropes, but not all of them are bad.
No, they're
like
tools to tell a story.
that's how stories are told. Like everything is a trope. Every story ever told has been told. Like that's the way stories work. Like
I forget who tweeted this, and I wish I could attribute it to him, but they said that if you've guessed the plot twist in a story, that doesn't make it a bad story. That means that the story adequately gave you the information necessary
yes,
in order to see where it's going, which makes it a good story.
Exactly. Like, if like, to think, like, how people think now, and it's mostly, like, younger people complaining about, I'm gonna be super old. Like, I've
Go ahead,
younger
Grandpa.
people complaining about, like, oh, well, that's just, like, plot armor. And it's like, you just read what plot armor is, and now you're using plot armor wrong, right? Like, plot armor, you mean the plot? Like, you can't just, like...
the character didn't die because he or she is needed for the plot.
That's the story!
That's how
like,
the story is written.
Yeah, exactly. And, dude, it drives me fucking crazy. Like, I hate that shit. Like, not everything that's a trope is negative, like you were saying. And it really bothers me. I don't know.
Like, there are tropes that you should... If you go to TV tropes, they tell you the tropes. They don't say they're bad. You jump to that conclusion yourself.
You're thinking they're bad because you're reading them on a site called TV Tropes. And some of them are kind of funny. Like, you read some of them and you're like, oh, that's, like, ridiculous.
There are tropes that I fucking love. And there are tropes that even people who say they hate tropes love.
Yes.
Like, the, like, Bash Brothers trope of, like, two characters who just fucking, like, team up and kick ass using team attacks. Everybody loves that shit.
Yeah, that's great. That's great.
There's nobody on Earth that doesn't love at least one trope. Like, I'm sure that knowing the audience of this podcast, that one of your favorite tropes is a non-human being trying to find out what it's like to be human.
That's a very old fish, like the fish out of water, right?
That's
like, it's
fucking,
very
like,
old.
A being trying to figure out what it is to be human dates back to fucking antiquity with not antiquity for sure, but I mean, like,
before
old
that
times.
Dude,
like old times because of fucking Pinocchio. That's like the first more modern telling of that type of story, but that goes back forever.
Yeah, human beings tell stories in a certain way, like, because it's in our species. It's how we do it. Like, to complain about it, I think, is like, if you don't like TV tropes or tropes, then go fucking watch David Lynch movies for the rest of your life. And trust
they had
me,
tropes too.
Backwards talking little person.
I think that's a trope because of David Lynch, but
right.
the way humans tell stories doesn't change in like an entirely new way. Like, everything is built on the back of something else. Like, I was thinking about this when I was in college. I think I wrote a paper about it for an English class about how, like, modern superhero comics, or like superhero comics all the way back to their inception, are just retellings of Beowulf. Yeah. Where a monster shows up and threatens humans, and a superhuman has to fight and defeat it in order to save the people.
Right, it's like, Oh Brother, Where Art Thou? Oh Brother, Where Art Thou?
That's the Odyssey, yeah.
Yeah, like, there's, like, we tell certain types of stories and we just frame them differently. And it's how successful the framing and the telling of the story work that make the story good. It's not that they use devices that human beings, over the entirety of our ability probably to speak as humans, like with our mouths, have developed. Like, you can't just sit back and say, like, oh, plot armor's dumb. It's like, no, you're fucking dumb.
The thing about TV tropes as well that I'll say before we move on is there are like 10,000 entries on that site.
And how many real tropes are there, right?
And like that pretty much encompasses, you can't like say that 10,000 things are tropes. Like, you're just picking things that maybe have appeared once or twice and calling it a trope.
That's a trope.
Like, I like that site. It's fun to browse and everything, but people do kind of use it in arguments very incorrectly.
They use it, they use it as like a dictionary for, like, stories. And it's like, there are no dictionaries for stories, guys. Like, every story can be told, like, different many ways.
Storytelling is like, in a lot of ways, like, what makes us human. Like, the desire to create stories to continue on into the next generation.
Right. And to rationalize the terrible outside world and to make it less horrible. Like, I think that's the best thing that stories do, is it's like a balm for reality.
I think stories are probably, like, I guess everybody has their, like, thing that they view the world through, like, the lens they view the world through. like scientists may view it through the lens of like the particles that they've studied, and everything is made up of like parts, and I think stories is very much the way I view the world.
Me too. I think that's why we get along so well. Is that we both love like a good story, and like, I mean, nothing is better than like going and seeing something or reading something and being like, whoa, like that feeling.
Like really feel the story as you read it and everything, and like
it's great.
You just want to like share it as well. Like you
just want to talk about
someone else to be able to share it with, and that's why I love M Class, because we get to share it with
Star Trek podcast.
Let's do it. Oh shit! What's this thing in front of me? Is this a microphone? Oh damn!
Oh god, it was all a dream.
Fuck, this podcast sucks now.
Oh, it's so tropey.
It's so tropey. It was all a dream. Wow.
Tropes. Yeah, like The Matrix was. It's all a dream. Like, are you kidding me? Like one of the.
That's the beginning of The Matrix.
Most like impossibly brilliant movies of my lifetime is a fucking all a dream.
Here's a fun fact for you. This is the first episode of Star Trek Deep Space Nine to be directed by Jonathan Frakes.
We said that one already, but you didn't say it was the first one.
That's the first one. He directed 2 more episodes. With DS9, Meridian and Past Tense Part 2.
I don't remember those offhand.
Yeah.
Which
with
ones
TNG, I'm much better at like lining up the name of the episode with the episode. DS9, not so much.
Not so much. There's a lot. They're very similar and a lot. They're real tropey names.
So tropey.
Naming your episode title. That's a trope.
So tropey.
Fucking tropes. Plot armor.
Damn, apparently the Vorta don't appear until season 4 after this.
Yeah, there's a bunch of just Jemadar shit, like where they run into them randomly. But I don't think there's even a whole lot of like Dominion-y shit. Like, they get ready for the Dominion after this, and then I don't remember what happens, to be honest with you.
Hey, do you want another John Larroquette fun fact of the week?
Yeah.
Borath was originally supposed to be the first Vorta that they'd already met, Eris.
Oh, that's
they
what
had
that
the
weird
entire
line.
script written that way.
Oh.
But at the last minute, the actress that plays Eris was not available.
She was like, nah.
I'm not sitting in that fucking chair and having my ears fitted ever again.
She could have been on the show for like 4 years, probably. Good thing that she didn't show up, because they might have kept her and not gotten Wei-Un, and I love Wei-Un.
Dude, Wei-Un, like Jack Carpenter was 100% right. Every character that Jeffrey Combs plays is a fucking masterpiece.
Brunt
Brunt
great.
is hilarious.
Dude, he's such a fucking evil guy, but he's also just the stupidest fucking idiot.
It's just like, no Ferengi can be really, like, intimidatingly evil. Even Brunt, who has, like, all of this power behind him.
Yeah, Brunt is, like, the closest thing to a Ferengi villain, but he's also just the stupidest butthole, who just, like, is just a moron. Like, he's harmless. Like, he's dumb.
Only in, like, inter-Ferengi conflict is he even slightly
scary,
harmful in any way.
Yeah, and even then they're just kind of like, Brunt, you're an idiot.
Fuck off, Brunt.
And he's like, okay. And he just goes home.
Fuck you guys, I'm leaving.
Money, I love money.
Like, I think I like The Search Part 1 better. Because it's very much like the first big foray into, like, we need to figure out what the Founders are, and we need to, like, bring our Federation ideals along with us.
It's a fucking Fellowship quest, right?
It is.
And it
fails just like the Fellowship.
Yeah. And then it somehow doesn't. It's
Spoilers, I guess. Spoilers for Fellowship of the Ring.
Yeah. Yes. I'm sure nobody has seen it. It's very little known. Hasn't been around a while.
There's this weird thing that I'm sure has happened to you as well since you started playing, like, tabletop RPGs.
Yeah.
Where when you watch TV or movies or, like, read anything, you start to see the characters as a party.
Yes.
And it was very much like a party formed. Like, you have, like, the fucking chaotic evil edgelord outsider Tyrul joins the party.
Yep.
It's just so perfect.
It's great. Dude, Star Trek is fucking. It's just orcs and elves, dude. That's all Star Trek is.
It's fantasy in space, D&D in space.
That's all it is. That's why nerds love it. They don't realize it most of the time. Maybe some of them do, but like that's the same shit. That's why I love it, and that's why I love fantasy, because it's just like Star Trek on the ground.
There's something weird about fantasy. Like, I've thought about this a lot, the differences between fantasy and sci-fi as genres.
Yeah.
Like, fantasy has these very hard-line parameters for what makes it, like, a high fantasy. Like, it's gotta have elves, it's gotta have, like, dwarves, it's gotta have orcs.
Well, we talked about that on Cracking the Spine a lot. And then it became a joke, like, well, is it high fantasy? Because, like, it had to pass, like, a test, right? To, like, what's high fantasy, right? Like...
But, like, sci-fi doesn't have that. There's no standard sci-fi races.
Sci-fi is much more nebulous. You could get away with a lot more, right? Like, it doesn't even have to be really, like, science-y, like Star Wars. Like, Star Wars isn't science-y.
Yeah, I don't... Like, Star Wars is one of those things where it's like, all nerds love being like, actually, Star Wars is space fantasy.
But you could...
But
I would definitely...
have a point.
Yeah, no, they do. But I would also not chastise anyone for saying it's science fiction.
It is science fiction. It is fiction of a scientific variety. They have, like, lasers and spaceships and shit.
They travel faster than light. They go to other planets. It's science fiction.
And, like, it's just wild to me that it's Tolkien, really, is why we decided, like, you gotta have elves, you gotta have dwarves, you gotta have orcs.
I've been diving in my sleepless nights, because, Jeff, both you and I don't sleep ever. Like, we're just, like...
100% vampires now.
We're just vampires now? Yeah. Like, I love blood now. I've been, like...
Real big into blood now?
Love drinking blood out of a silly straw now. I've been reading and watching a bunch of lore videos about Elder Scrolls lore, because, like, it's something that I was never super well versed into, and it's complicated as fuck.
Oh yeah, like, if you go back to, like, Morrowind and Oblivion and, like, you read all of the books, there's, like, 9 billion worlds full of information.
So I got real into, like, the living gods, the dark elf Vivek, and I've been, like, really into that lately, and that's, like, fucking fascinating to me, because that's just a Christ analogy.
Yeah,
they just self-actualize.
The craziest part about that is that's just the patrons of the Dark Elves. Like, every race has a story just as detailed.
It's crazy. So, like, I've been into that, and that's part of the reason why I think Elder Scrolls is super fun, because, like, it does that hardline fantasy shit, but it also, hardline fantasy shit, but it also, like,
it creates its own world for sure that, like, breaks away from that. Like,
it's a little more on its own, right? Like, it's not science fiction-y, it's just, but it's a little more, I'm trying to think of a word here, it's a little more, like, esoteric, I would say.
Oh yeah, that's a good way to put it.
Yeah.
Like, I actually, if you just play the Elder Scrolls games, you'll probably hate the High Elves.
Yeah.
Because they're just giant fucking cock faces,
Jeff,
right?
we're the same person. I know what you're gonna say.
If you go and you read the lore behind the High Elves, they were like immortal, ageless beings of the ether until the world was brought into being, and they're like, fuck this shit. I don't want to live and die. We need to end this.
Like, people hate the Thalmor, and they're like, they're Nazis. But, like, the Thalmor are just, like, elves who had to watch, like, Talos, like, become Jesus, and then have everybody else love Talos. And they're like, motherfucker, that guy used a fucking robot, like a fucking dwarf robot, to fucking destroy us. Like, fuck
absolutely
that guy.
Murder our fucking people. Yeah. You
fuck
start
that
to,
guy.
once you go into the lore behind these, like, different races, you start to see it from their point of view. Like, if I was an immortal, ageless being of the ether, and I lived every day in bliss, and then some motherfucker came along and was like, actually, mortality exists now, and all these other races exist. I'd be like, you'd fucking trap me in a simulation. I'm getting out of this.
Yeah, I was reading about that, too, how, like, zero summing, like how like the world is like a dream. Yeah, Kim or whatever you say it. And then like how like that's where they think the dwarves went. They just like couldn't rationalize that they figured out that they weren't real, and they just vanished.
Yeah,
because that like deletes you.
The elves are like, they're sort of the bad guys from like the in-universe point of view, because they want to destroy the universe. They want to unmake the universe.
Right.
But to them, they're trapped in a simulation that they're trying to get out of.
Yeah, they're constantly like touching, like, because they're born magic. Like, all elves are magic, right? Like they're born with this connection to this other thing, but they gotta. It's like if you're like a 16-year-old and you had to go to like kindergarten. They're like, this is bullshit.
That's true.
All these idiots are morons. Like, they hate it.
It's just fun to think of it that way. Like, I actually love, like, I like the role-playing games. When I'm playing a game, like, I'll pick a character's personality and, like, make all the decisions based on that.
I do the same thing.
And I love to play a high elf in Elder Scrolls games that just be like a fucking like giant knob to everybody and just do all like the meanest shit and be like, I'm the best.
That's great. We should do like a shoot the shit where we like, dude, I would love to tell you about my characters.
Oh yeah, that's true. Like I have like, when I first played Demon Souls, I made a character named Aeschylus. And every Souls game since, I've played an alternate universe descendant of that character.
Star Wars, The Old Republic was fun because you could have family trees. So you could connect like characters familially, but also you could like connect them like kind of like they're not a part of the family of your character or whatever, but like they're like over here on this other branch, like they're like kind of connected to you. And I carried that over like just in my own head for like Elder Scrolls, where I've got like people that are just they're connected in certain ways, right? But they're not necessarily like they don't know each other. You know what I mean?
Like I absolutely love like the I have like a lore in my brain because all the Souls games, all the Dark Souls games are connected.
Yeah. And
how do these descendants relate to the previous game and everything, which like makes me enjoy it more, but I'm sure people are like, wow, this guy's a fucking loser. Yeah. But I'm not. I'm actually great.
I mean, I agree because I do the same thing. It's like, I guess, I don't know what you would call that, like light RP, because you're not like role playing, you're not like talking in chat being like, and then I picked up the flute and I played a song for me lady. You know what I mean? You're not
basically
doing that.
Like when anybody plays it, when like a normal person plays a game, not a weirdo. When a normal person plays a game, you make decisions that you would make. Like I would.
You're
do
the
this.
character, exactly.
But
I don't.
When
do that.
we play games, we make up another personality for the character, and we make decisions based on that.
Right. I've got characters who are like females who are like timid, and they're not heroes, and they're not like used to like going out into this crazy world where like demons are killing every. You know what I mean? Like they don't know.
I've got characters who are very much like gung ho, like I'm gonna do the craziest shit and have crazy adventures, and then I have like characters who are very much like they were thrown into this.
Exactly. Yeah, I have like characters who are female that are like Ripley's, where they're just like they're kick-ass, right? And I also have characters that are male that are just like nobodies, and they're just like dirt farmers. You know what I mean? Like they don't know what they're doing.
And a lot of games like they give you the option to like, well, like Dragon Age Origins gives you different character options for where you came from, so that you can better do that. Even
that's like is that the BioWare game? Right? Yeah, It's like the Old Republic or Knights of the Old Republic, but the fantasy one, right?
Pretty much.
Mike loves that. Mike used to tell me to play. I never played it.
Crystal's big into it. Like I played some of it. Like I play like. I never really could get into like the more MMO style combat where it just fights by itself and you hit hotkeys to do special attacks. I've never been a big fan of that.
Right.
But the game itself had like a fun storyline and cool characters and stuff, and I really liked how customizable your character was at the beginning. Like you didn't just choose how they looked, you also chose their background and stuff.
I love that too. That's the best.
That's the difference that I find personally between Fallout 3 and Fallout New Vegas. is that in Fallout 3, you're this scientist's son, and your mission is to find him, and you love your dad, and you want your dad back.
Right.
In Fallout New Vegas, you're some courier, and your mission is whatever the fuck you want, and your background is whatever the fuck you want.
Yeah.
It's much better for making a character.
Yeah, there's more doors. There's more doors to take different routes.
Yeah.
That's what I don't like with Fallout 4. You're either a mother or a father who lost their child, and it sort of locks you into that. And it's
I didn't like that either, honestly.
I don't care about children, so...
Yeah, like, I just want to go on a fun post-apocalyptic adventure.
Can I just, like, walk around and, like, figure out stuff for 2 seconds without having to be like, we gotta go find our kid?
I know it sounds like we just did the shoot the shit about this topic, but we'll definitely do a real shoot the shit about it.
Yeah.
But I think this basically just means that we've been creating characters long before either of us decided to play a tabletop RPG, to play D&D or something.
It's a certain personality, I think, that does this, and so some people, I'm going to call them idiots, don't do this.
I would call them losers, because I'm not a loser. I'm actually really cool, so they're a loser.
Yeah. And then I picked up the lute and I played Jeff a love song.
With Ragnar the Red.
Oh, no more Ragnar the Red. No. Oh my God. I've gotten rid of bards in my house in Skyrim because they will not fucking shut up with Ragnar the fucking Red.
People love Ragnar the Red, Josh.
Dude, fuck Ragnar the fucking Red.
Anyway, this episode of Star Trek was really good.
And Friends. and Skyrim.
Fucking, Deep Space Nine sort of, like, sets up these, like, building blocks for the Dominion and then just kind of, like, pushes them aside and does a bunch of other shit for a while.
For a little bit, yeah.
But those blocks are always sort of looming over the story. Like, you're always waiting for the other shoe to drop.
It's cool. It's like World War II. Like, everyone sort of knew it was going to happen. Like, pretty early. Like, when Hitler started being Hitler, people were like, all right, we're going to have to do this again. But when was it going to drop? Like, when was it going to happen? And that's how this show is now.
It's like there's like a Cold War scenario going on for a while.
Yeah.
Where
with the Klingons.
Both sides are trying... It seems like both sides are trying to keep the war from happening.
Yeah.
But the Dominion isn't really. They're, like, feigning, trying to keep the war from happening so that they can size up the Federation better.
Right. They know that they'll outlast the Federation just by sheer willpower, and they're hoping that the Federation will just be stupid and do something dumb so that it'll be easier, or maybe they can avoid a fight altogether and just, like, stroll into the Alpha Quadrant and be like, hey, we're here, buddy. You know what I mean? But
like they're playing smarter, not harder.
Yes.
They're outthinking the Federation, and like Josh said, they're very much like waiting for the Federation to make a mistake.
Yeah.
And they do, I guess, because shit happens. But
they do, but they, not to ruin the show, but the Federation is highly adaptable, and they're quick to change it when it needs to be, which is like
that's not a strength of the Dominion. The Dominion is the way it is, and nothing is going to change.
Not flexible, yeah.
And that's a weakness that gets exploited as time goes on. But I'm not going to spoil anything. The thing to take away from this episode, though, is that the Dominion has tactics that the Federation is not ready for.
They also have technology that the Federation can't handle. They're like, what the fuck are they shooting us with? Like, they don't even know what it is. They're like, what is this shit? Like, that's crazy.
It's like muskets versus bow and arrows at this point.
Yeah.
Like, the Federation need to up their technological game as quickly as humanly possible, or else they're gonna get wiped out.
Yeah, they gotta figure out how to make, like, phasers that are good. Like, how are we gonna do it? Like, they kind of do it, and this is where, like, the quantum torpedo comes from, right? Like,
yeah, like, every like big jump in technology that happens at this point is very much war technology,
right?
And that becomes the question for the Federation of, like, is it wrong that we're doing this? Like, does this go against our ideals? And it's that question of whether, like, fighting back That's a question that comes up a lot in everyday life. Is like if somebody tries to fight you and you fight back, are you just as bad as them?
Right.
And I know you and I both believe that's bullshit.
Yes, I definitely believe that's bullshit.
A lot of people feel that way with, like, if somebody's an asshole to you and you're an
Yeah.
asshole back to them, that you're just as bad.
No.
But I think
Yeah.
defending yourself is different than attacking somebody.
Right, I'm not going out and, like, fucking with somebody's shit, right? Like, I'm just...
You always have those scenarios like the Romulans where they trick someone into attacking them first so that they
Right.
can pretend like they're defending themselves.
Right.
Where you're just as big of an asshole then. But
Yeah.
I feel like if somebody doesn't stand up, then the real asshole is just gonna... Or the real threat is just gonna steamroll over everybody who's not doing anything.
It's what Q says to Picard, like, when he shows him the Borg. He's like, look at what's out here. Like, you guys are living in a nowhere corner of the galaxy. Nobody gives a fuck about you. You've had it so good for 100, 200 years. You're living the life, right? But he's like, look at this. This shit doesn't give a fuck about you. And, like, the Federation is so slow to, like, react to that. Like,
I mean, he's like, this shit doesn't give a fuck about you, but then the Borg are like, let's go to Earth.
yeah, well, yeah, this
So
shit
they
doesn't give a
do
fuck
give
about
a fuck about
I mean, this shit doesn't give a fuck about, like, not killing them. Is
Oh,
what
yeah.
like, you can't rationalize with the Borg, and you can't rationalize with the Dominion. It's the same thing. Like, the Dominion's not going to be like, oh, you're right, we're all living creatures, let's all hug each other. No.
No. I
You
mean,
gotta,
like,
fuck them up. You have to.
there's an understanding that happens between the Federation and its enemies at certain points where,
Yeah.
like, it's like a shonen anime protagonist. You gotta beat the shit out of the villain and then he becomes your best friend.
Becomes your friend, yeah, and that's the
And
Klingons.
he joins your crew.
Yeah.
That's the Klingons and
That's
later the Romulans.
Yeah. Yeah, man. It's the enemy of my enemy, right? Like,
Yeah.
and like everyone who's in the Alpha Quadrant and Beta Quadrant, they like the status quo, the Federation included. As much as the Federation is like, we're explorers and we love new things, like they don't want to like rustle the herd. You know what I mean? Like they want to like
they love new things, but not when those new things are trying to murder all their citizens.
Exactly. And so like the Alpha and Beta quadrants are like, oh, we don't want to. The Dominion's crazy. like
Keep
even the
them on
Klingons,
their side of that wormhole.
the Klingons who love fighting are like, these guys are fucking crazy. Like they will not stop. Like they'll just kill us all. Like that's not good.
Yeah, that's the weird thing about, like, the Klingons are like, we're the war race. We love war, we love battle, like, battle is honorable. And then they meet the Jem'Hadar, who literally only fight, and they're like, well, shit, we want to drink some blood wine. We don't gotta fight all the time.
The Klingons love fighting, but they also love fucking and drinking. So like they're not gonna get the fucking drink if they're always fighting the Dominion. You know?
Shit, I haven't got anything wet in a while. Shit.
No Klingon crazy lady has bitten my wrist at all. Where's the wrist biting?
I need some Klingon ladies to just beat the shit out of me, and then we do it. Why is this not happening?
Sounds like a good time. I'm not gonna lie to you.
Josh, you're pretty much like half Klingon at least.
I mean, sexually, I do file my teeth with Nog's tooth sharpener. It's something I do.
I don't know what alien race that would be, but I feel like Josh is... Actually, I would say Josh is more of an Andorian.
Yeah, I'm like... Yeah, I think Andorian's a good one. Very cold sometimes, and very sharp.
Cold in all the wrong places.
Cold in all the wrong places.
Never going away, Josh. It's here forever.
Oh, God.
Maybe I'm a Ferengi.
No, you're not a... I don't know. I would say you're just a person. You're just like
I'm just a human. Just a filthy humie.
You're just like a good person.
Oh,
and
thanks,
I'm
Josh.
just like a ice cold fuck your day up guy. Don't cross me. I'll yell at you and you'll be sad about it. That's Andorians, right? And then I said something and the Andorian was mad at me, and then the humans are like, "Oh, we don't want to be our friends all the time." Ooh.
It's pretty like Starfleet. Like, I thought we were just gonna be friends forever.
Yeah. And Andorians are like, "Get over it. We are friends. Shut the fuck up. Go back to class." I'll see you later. Oh, God, so clingy.
Go to class.
That's fucking Andorian. So fucking clingy. Get the fuck away from me.
I would love Star Trek High.
That would be an amazing idea for a show. How could you go anywhere, though, right?
Yeah, it's true. I think I don't know if I've mentioned this on the show before, but I love the idea of a half Vulcan who grew up on Vulcan and a half Romulan who grew up on Romulus finding out they have the same human father.
That's great.
And then they have to go on like a secret mission together in order to find him.
That's awesome.
He's like a space pirate or something.
He's Andorian? And it's
How
me?
does that work?
What do you kids want? You clingy ass bitches. Go back to class. Okay.
I think I'm like a Vulcan, like Cybok is a Vulcan.
Cybok. Do you go hugging God?
Yeah, I'm like, I gotta go find God. Nah. You know what? I think that's a good time to end this episode because it's like 3 hours long.
Yay!
So I'd like to thank everybody who tuned in here today, and I'd like to remind everybody that in 1 week's time you'll be listening to M-Class emails, so you better get them emails in.
But not if you have a Patreon. You can listen to it right now. You can just go to it.
The fuck now.
Because I edit them literally at the same damn time.
So get your emails in at mclassemail@gmail.com, all singular like it's always been. And head on over to patreon.com/mclasspodcast in order to get that emails episode right now for as little as $1. I think it's $5, but it's up to you. It's your choice.
Five's better than 1.
Yeah, I think 50 is better than 5, but it's up to you.
I agree with that.
You'd be worth more as a person. No, I'm kidding.
In my eyes.
I'm just joking.
now we're both Ferengi.
100% Ferengi.
You should maybe donate 50 Latinum. Females.
Make sure to get your emails in. Head on over to patreon.com/mclasspodcast to become a patron today and get like a million other podcasts.
Oh, you said emails. I thought you said females. Now I'm in permanent Ferengi voice.
Oh my god, I can't wait to record email after this.
Yeah, females? Oh, you said emails again. I'm sorry.
And again, thanks everybody for tuning in, and we'll be back in 1 week with more M-Class goodness. Bye!
Bye! Bye-bye!
I'm mentally ill.